want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
L'entrepreneuriat digital vous intéresse-t-il? Vous voulez apprendre à construire des projets digitaux? Aimeriez-vous gagner des revenus passifs conséquents en tout lieu? Voici la plateforme des professionnels du digital, la Diaspo Academy. Ici, vous retrouverez les meilleurs professionnels de la diasporama mondiale connectés sur notre plateforme. Vous allez pouvoir acquérir des formations adéquates qui feront de vous des entrepreneurs digitaux compétents. Étudiants, entrepreneurs, coachs, instructeurs et entreprises, Diaspo Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Elle vous offre la possibilité de suivre votre formation en mode virtuel à partir de chez vous, où que vous soyez sur la planète. Toutes nos formations disponibles en ligne sont dispensées de manière interactive. Il suffit de vous inscrire et vous pourrez les suivre depuis chez vous. Au cours de la formation, vous passerez des quiz et examens selon votre parcours. En outre, à partir de votre tableau de bord, vous suivrez vos performances et progressions. Vous pourrez aussi communiquer avec vos instructeurs et recevoir des notifications. À la fin de votre parcours de formation, vous recevrez un certificat Diaspo Academy Certified. Que vous soyez débutant ou responsable d'entreprise, Diaspo Academy est une opportunité pour vous. Saisissez-la! Enfin, que vous soyez coach ou instructeur, ayez accès à un millier d'étudiants à travers notre plateforme. Merci de choisir Diaspo Academy, le meilleur choix. Pour plus d'informations, allez sur www.diaspoacademy.com. Diaspo Academy, la plateforme des professionnels du digital.
Together by the Immigrant Community Services, Law Offices of Jonelle Oklo, the Union of Liberian Associations in the Americas, and HIAS-PA to discuss the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Program and how some Liberians may now qualify for lawful permanent residency and a pathway to citizenship. My name is Josephine Garnham, and I will be your host for tonight's segment. A virtual program is being broadcasted live today thanks to a great partnership with Afrique Today, an online TV show that streams live on Facebook, YouTube, and its website, afriquetoday.com. We welcome our viewers from all over the world. I am very honored to welcome our panelists for this evening, And I'm going to do a brief introduction, and then we're going to go right into our discussion. Jonelle is the managing attorney of Law Offices of Jonelle Oklo, also known as LOJO Immigration. It's based in the Baltimore, Washington metro area. Jonelle received her Doctor of Law from Yale University and has practiced immigration law exclusively for over 15 years. Jonelle also serves on an executive board of the DMV chapter of the Association of Ghanaian Lawyers of America. Jonelle was named as a super lawyer in the field of immigration law. She has been recognized in the international who's who of corporate immigration lawyers. Ms. Oklo was named as one of Maryland's top 100 women by the Daily Record. Ayodele Gonzalo initially qualified as an attorney in the United Kingdom and is now admitted as an attorney with the New York State Bar. She has been working on immigration and nationality issues exclusively with nonprofit organizations both here and in the UK for nearly 30 years. She's currently the senior staff attorney with highest PA. She focuses her practice on complex litigation before the U.S. Immigration Court, the Board of Immigration Appeals, Federal District Court, and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. In addition, she provides mentorship and training on immigration issues to pro bono attorneys and community groups, including the Liberian community. Ms. Ayodele is an adjunct professor with the University of Pennsylvania Law School's Transnational Legal Clinic since 2010 academic year, and is the co-author of the publication Understanding Immigration Law and Practice, a textbook and practice guide for paralegals, law students, and newer practitioners on the complexities of immigration law. Ms. Gonzalo is also the vice chair to the Philadelphia chapter of AILA, a member of the Mayor's Commission on African Caribbean Immigrant Affairs, and a recipient of the AILA Philadelphia chapter Matthew Baxter Mentorship Award. We welcome you too, and we have a couple more to go. Joseph Sako is the Executive Director, Chairman of Liberia Medical Mission Refugee Congress Delegate for Pennsylvania, and the Chairman of the Advocacy and Communications Committee, Foreign Minister of the Union of Liberian Association in America. And he's also the advisor on the Immigration Committee. Also have Emmett, who's a business owner, former chairman of the board of the Liberian Community Association in Washington, D.C. And we also are proud and happy to welcome Pam Roberts, who joined Highest PA as Citizenship and Family Unification Staff Attorney in February 2020. She's currently working full-time with Liberian nationals, assisting them with their applications to obtain work authorization under the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Program. Pam worked in the legal department of Novartis Pharmaceutical Corp for 10 years. After leaving Novartis, she received her JD and Master of Environmental Law and Policy from Vermont Law School. She concentrated her studies on immigration and human rights and counseled immigration clients when she worked in the Southern Royalty Legal Clinic of VLS. She received her bachelor's in social sciences from Ramapo College of New Jersey. She was also admitted to the Pennsylvania Bar in October 2019 and is a member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association. As you can see, we have quite a strong team tonight, and we're going to have a very interesting discussion. I'm going to start with you, Jonelle. Please tell us a little bit about LOJO, and then help us better understand what is the Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Program.
Okay, Josephine, thank you so much for having me on your program this evening. It's an honor to share with you. So just briefly, LOJO Immigration is a full-service immigration law firm based in the Baltimore, Washington area. So because we do immigration law exclusively, we represent clients here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, as well as around the country, because immigration is a federal practice. Okay, so you can find our site online at www.lojolaw.com, and our website does have information specifically about the LRIF program. So you'll see a button there, and a lot of what we're discussing this evening, we have like a breakdown of that on the website, so you can check that out. So briefly, what is LRIF? Some people call it LRIF or LRIF, okay? That is Liberian Refugee Immigration Fairness Program. It is a law that was passed actually just in December of last year, December 20th of 2019. And it's something that thus far is only available for a 1-year period, meaning only until December 20th of this year, December 20th of 2020. And it is a program that allows Liberians who have been living in the United States since November 20th of 2014 to be able to qualify to get permanent resident status. That is the green card. And it's really an amazing program for people who qualify, because typically under immigration, in order to be able to qualify for a green card, you need to have sponsorship, either by a family member or employer, or you need to qualify in some way, based on having been persecuted. All of this to say, usually it's quite a steep curve, okay, to qualify for a green card, but this is a program that is meant to be fair to Liberians, because many Liberians came to the United States, whether they were fleeing war or for other reasons, and have been here for a long time. And it's only now that the United States government has recognized that many of these people should have been granted their status as asylees, refugees years ago, and are allowing them this opportunity now. And a couple of more things about LRIF that make it, really quite amazing is that it applies not only to the Liberians who meet the eligibility requirements, and we will discuss what those specific eligibility requirements are, but it also applies to their family members, meaning their spouse and children. So that's children, minor children, as well as their adult children, even if that spouse and child are not themselves Liberians, they would still be able to be qualified based on the primary applicant. And then finally, with this LRIF program, the government is actually allowing the green cards, once they are approved, to be backdated based on the original time of entry into the United States, okay, showing that these are people who they should have been afforded the status when they came to the US. So if you consider that at the very least, this is for people who have been here since November 20th of 2014, that's more than 5 years ago, which means that once someone's green card is approved under LRIF, they would be then eligible to file for US citizenship. So this is actually a clear path to citizenship for many Liberians and their family members. So in short, that is what LRIF is.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So I'll go to Ayodele. Tell us about HIAS's work in Philadelphia, and tell us, who does not qualify for LRIF and who should not apply for this program.
So thank you very much for having me today. It's really a pleasure to be here and to talk about, as Janelle said, this really important provision that allows Liberians to become to regularize their immigration status. Highest Pennsylvania is a nonprofit organization that was established back in the 1800s to resettle Jews from the Eastern Europe during the time when there were pogroms and basically they were being persecuted. Over time, Highest's work has evolved, and since the early 1990s, we have begun to provide representation from people from all over the world. And right now, we provide legal services to people from over 100 different countries. Our legal department has over 30 attorneys, accredited representatives, and paralegals, and we are actually the largest nonprofit legal services provider of immigration assistance. We also have a resettlement division as well, so we help to resettle refugees from abroad into the United States. Unfortunately, that's work that we're not doing so much of because not so many refugees are coming in, but that's a different story altogether. So to talk about LRIF, as Janelle says, this is an amazing opportunity. I think that unfortunately, this has come at a time when, first of all, we're in a pandemic, and so therefore the ability to move around is severely restricted for many. And more importantly, this has happened at a time when we are in an environment with a government is extremely hostile. And so this is creating much anxiety in the community. And I think that if we on the panel don't get anything else across, what we really want people to understand is that this is an opportunity for you to legalize your status. And we really want you to take that opportunity. Now, having said that, there are some people that would not be eligible for LRIF, and I want to be really careful about the way that I describe that ineligibility, because I don't want people to self-screen themselves out of the program. What I really want people to do is to hear what I'm saying and to think, okay, maybe I need to go to speak to an attorney so that an attorney or an accredited rep can help me decide whether or not, even though I may have these negative factors, there are ways for me to overcome them. That's the most important thing that I want people to understand. Okay, so in the legal community, we use a lot of legal jargon. And so I don't want to use that legal jargon. The legal jargon does matter, but I do want to sort of simplify things and say, essentially, if you have had contact with the police, if you've had contact with the police in the criminal justice system, you are somebody who should be getting or going to see a lawyer or an accredited rep so that they can help you to determine whether or not you are still eligible for this program. There are some people, because of the types of criminal convictions they have, they will be excluded, but there are some who have criminal convictions that do not exclude you. Okay, so this is really important to understand. I don't want people to be afraid just because they've had contact with the police. All I'm saying is make sure that you go and you get, you speak to a lawyer who can help you to figure out whether or not you should be applying. And essentially, I mean, there are other barriers, but all of those things can be waived, except for the criminal issues. So they can be waived, but that also depends on certain factors, certain family members that you may have, that you may need to be able to qualify for the waivers. So again, really, this is a situation where the first thing that you need to be doing is to be sitting down with a lawyer or an accredited rep who can help you to figure out whether or not you should be applying.
This is really helpful. Thank you so much. So once we've determined, so, you know, you're saying folks would not, you know, let them not be afraid about it, knowing whether they're eligible or not. And I believe Janelle is going to talk about some pro bono clinics that are coming up that is being organized. But Ayodele, tell us a little bit more. What are the required forms and documents? What are the filing fees? How should people prepare, at least for the first consultation, for them to know what to bring or what they should start getting together?
So I think when you are preparing for the meeting with the lawyer or accredited rep, the things that you should be thinking about is, what documents do you have that will prove that you are Liberian? That's the first thing, right? If you can't prove that you are Liberian, you don't get in the door, right? So a birth certificate. Now, for many people in the Liberian community, the birth certificates they have are ones that were not issued at the time of their birth, okay? They've been issued many years subsequent to that because of the war in Liberia and the destruction of government departments, and so therefore they've had to recreate those birth certificates. That is not a barrier, right? So long as you have a birth certificate, or you have some kind of identity document, something that has been issued to you by the Liberian government. What the Immigration Service is saying is that if you have a passport, that will be a documentation that they will accept. But what they're saying at this point is that it has to be a current passport. Now, we as lawyers say, why does a current document, why is it only a current document, a passport that says that you are a Liberian citizen? If you've had a passport that's an expired passport, you are still a Liberian citizen, right? So these are things that we as lawyers are arguing about. But for the meantime, what we are saying to you is that if you only have an expired passport, still bring that in. And then we will work with you to figure out how you then apply to the Liberian authorities to get an identity document, a citizenship certificate, or some other documentation that you can use to supplement with that passport in the event that we lawyers don't win our legal arguments, right? So how do you prove that you are a Liberian citizen? If you have documentation that shows how you entered or when you entered the United States. Now, many Liberians came in at an airport. Some came in at different borders. Some came in using other people's documentation. We know all of this because we have been dealing with the Liberian community over a number of different years. Those things do not bar you. We can look to see whether or not we can apply for a waiver for you. And then the next thing that you need to be able to establish is that you have been in the United States at least since November 2014, right? We actually have to, at some point, we will have to establish that since the time that you came in, even if that date was before November 2014, that you haven't left the United States and then come back in. And there's technical reasons why we need to go through that with you, but that's one of the conversations that you need to have with a lawyer, because they will be able to explain to you and to go through your documentation to make sure that there are no barriers that exist because of any entries or exits pre-November 2014. So when you're gathering these documentations, what I usually say to my clients is, come in with whatever you have. We will help you sift through it. But if you are really organized, then really what you need to be doing is you bring in one document for every quarter of the 6 years from 2014. So you're bringing something for January, for April, for June, for September, right? You don't need to have something for every single month. A document that would demonstrate that you were in the United States for through the 4 quarters of the year is sufficient. And the things that we're looking.
So I believe we're having some technical problems with Ayodele's video.
Oh.
Go ahead, Ayodele. We lost you a little bit there.
Oh, can you hear me though?
We can hear you now and we can see you as well. Please go ahead.
Be creative with respect to the kinds of documents that will establish that you have been in the United States. And it is $1,225 for the application.
So we're having some technical difficulties, Ayodele, with your video. What I'm going to do as we sort that out, I'm going to move on to Pam briefly, and I'm going to ask Pam, what is the deadline to apply for LRIF? And also, I believe Ayodele was talking about barriers, and I just want to see, you know, there's so many Liberians that are here in the States. However, we are hearing that not many people are applying for this incredible and rare opportunity. So, Pam, can you tell us again, can you tell our audience how many folks have applied from the data that you know, and how many are eligible, so we can do a call to action?
Sure. Thank you very much, Josephine, for having me on your program and to participate in this discussion. I'm going to answer each question in turn. LRIF applications must be received by USCIS by December 20th of this year. That means the application must be received complete with the required fees and documents attached by that date. So I strongly recommend targeting December 1st, give yourself a few days for a cushion, and you'll probably be fine. But after about the 10th of December, you're going to run a really high risk of it not being received on time. And of course, the sooner you can get all of your documentation together and file your application, the better, because if there is something missing inadvertently, or a blank is not filled out on your application, and it has to come back to you to fine tune it, you want to have time to do that if you possibly can. Mm-hmm. And of course, in December, the mail's already running slow, and in December, the mail will probably be running slower yet as people are, there's holiday mailing. As to the second question, when LRIF was originally passed last year, the government was originally estimated about 4,000 people were likely eligible, but Clinic published a report in June. They used data from USCIS and from the Center for Migration Studies, and they estimated that 10,000 Liberians and approximately 300 family members may be eligible for LRIF. And they admitted that the 300 family members was not, they didn't have solid data to support that. It was difficult for them to estimate that. But as of the end of April, 4 months into this one-year program, USCIS had received fewer than 1,200 applications, so less than 12% of the 10,000 believed to be eligible, and none had been completely decided, or as Io said in legal jargon, adjudicated by that time. So there was and remains concern that this has not been enough time. Especially with COVID-19 and that impact, people not being near their documents, not able to get new passports, etc. So there is a push. There are people advocating for an extension, but there's certainly, we should not rely on that. It's a very slim chance, and we won't know it until after the time most people should have their applications filed anyway. So we should be looking at that December 20th deadline as a firm deadline. USCIS then provided updated numbers in September, reporting that by that time, 2,200 applications had been received. So that was only another 1,000 applications from May through August and into September. None had been adjudicated. No decisions had been rendered at that time, but they did say provide two additional pieces of information. One is that they were issuing work authorizations very promptly. So most people applying for their green card are concurrently applying for work authorization or an extension of work authorization, and those cards were going out quickly. And they said at that point, they had scheduled 500 interviews out of the 2,200 applications they'd received. Since that update was provided by USCIS, we've heard that just through the grapevine or through individual lawyers representing individual clients, that at least 3 final decisions had been made. One of them did not even require an interview, and all 3 of them were approved. And that's the latest information I have in terms of how many people have applied and the status within USCIS of their processing.
Thank you so much, Pam. I know, Ayodele, you're going to leave us very soon. So I want to jump into you quickly because you mentioned the cost about the fees. As when we talk about barriers, that's a big barrier. And Jonelle is going to talk about some programs and ways that, you know, the DMV here, the Maryland, District of Columbia, Virginia, what they're doing on that. But can you quickly tell us what is being done in Philadelphia? Are there any programs that are helping folks know about financial support? What is being done? And then Jonelle will switch over to you to tell us the same. You unmute, Ayodele. Can you unmute? Thank you.
Sorry about that. So with respect to the immigration fees, there is a fee waiver available from the Immigration Service, and you have to qualify. And so essentially, you have to demonstrate either that you are receiving, legal jargon, a means-tested benefit, right? Social security income, some other form of income from the government that's based on how much you are earning, food stamps, for instance, right? Or you have to demonstrate that you are earning 150% of the poverty level for your family size. So 150% or lower. Okay, and then you will qualify for a fee waiver. If you don't qualify for a fee waiver, then unfortunately you will have to find the fee. And the fee is $1,225 that needs to be paid, and it needs to be paid at the time that you file your application. Now, if you wanted to file for work authorization, that's an additional $410. But if you're struggling to pay the $1,225, I'd say focus on paying that fee first. Okay. With respect to assistance with actually getting legal representation, now there is support there. And so my organization, as I said, we're a non-profit organization, and our services are free to anybody who earns up to 187% of the poverty level, depending on family size. So for a family of four, you can earn close to $50,000, and our services are still free to you. Okay, so and if it turns out that we get a deluge of applications, we will figure out how we get additional people to help us to make sure that we can provide the assistance. But HIAS is not the only organization. There are other organizations in Pennsylvania that are providing free or low cost assistance to those who need help in filing their applications.
Thank you so much. That is really important to know. And of course, we're talking about 12% only applying for this program. So Jonelle, can you also answer the same question in terms of what is being done for fees and for everything? And before you start, I just want to say thank you so much to Ayodele for joining us. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And hopefully we'll get to see you again soon. Please go ahead, Jonelle.
Okay, thank you, Josephine. So talking about the fees, as Ayodele said, it is $1,225, okay, 1225 for the application fee. For those who qualify, you can apply for a fee waiver. There's a specific form, okay, you need to include the fee waiver form if you are applying for a fee waiver from immigration. Now, some other options that may be available to people is that, for example, the I-485 application form, you actually can pay for that with a credit card, okay? So for some people, if you just cannot get you don't have the money right on hand, you are able to pay with a credit card. There's a credit card authorization form that you can include. Okay, so I have actually had clients who have, applied using a credit card. Sometimes even, if your situation is that desperate and you have a family member, perhaps, or a friend who's willing to allow you to, put your application fee on their credit card, take advantage of it. All of this to say, don't let money be an obstacle to regularizing your status, because something like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So don't let money be the obstacle. So when you think about costs involved, there is, of course, the cost of the actual application fee to immigration, the application fee being paid to Department of Homeland Security. For those of you who are paying with a check or a money order, it's payable to U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Okay? But then also the other fees involved are, of course, attorney's fees, legal fees. If you go with a private attorney, such as with my law office, we do charge a legal fee. There are nonprofits that provide free legal services or reduced cost legal services. As Ayodele and Pamela said, there are other nonprofits that provide free or reduced cost legal services. And then finally, you have opportunities such as the one I'm about to tell you about, where there are free legal clinics. These are times when attorneys who normally, people pay us for our services as a service to the community. We are also involved in community service. We offer our services for free. So there is a free legal clinic coming up in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. It's being sponsored by Association of Ghanaian Lawyers of America, AGLA DMV, where there will be attorneys on hand to help. And let me just give you this tip is, one advantage to kind of the current times we're in with coronavirus pandemic is a lot of stuff is happening virtually. Okay, so normally you would have to be here in Maryland to show up for our clinic. But because these things are now being done virtually, quite honestly, even if you don't live in DC, Maryland, Virginia area, you can still register from where you are. This is all being done online remotely, so you can also be able to take advantage of this opportunity to get free legal assistance for your case.
Thank you so much, Jonelle. So I believe you're going to share with us a flyer so our client, our audience can see what time and the exact date for this event, because I think it'll be very helpful for our community to know about it. I'm going to switch over to you, Joe. You do such incredible work in the diaspora. Outreach and advocacy is key in your work. Why is it important for us to spread the word and encourage all eligible Liberians to apply for this program? Joe, you're on mute. Can you unmute?
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much, Josephine and Janelle and the rest of the team for putting this incredible program together. We really appreciate this. First of all, just to give a little, background, and this is very important because there are a lot of work that were put into this to get this piece of legislation, all right, where we are today. The Union of Liberian Association in Americas, the Immigration Committee, the Liberians all over, non-Liberians, all the advocacy groups, Refugee Congress, everywhere in America lobbied for this piece of legislation. All right. Now, thank God we got the bill signed by the president. It went into law, and the catch there was that it was only 1 year. Okay. I mean, when I attended a town hall last month or this month, AfriCom town hall, and heard from the community relations officer from USCIS at the time, giving a figure of number of applicants received by USCIS at the time as 2,084 applicants. I mean, that was really disheartening. Okay, so I began to ask myself, I said, but what really was going on? So what happened was that I began to probably make some calls to see why are Liberians not taking advantage of this wonderful opportunity? For so many years that we have been going to DC here and there. Now we have this opportunity. Why are we not taking? Why our people are not taking advantage of this? But from what I've been hearing, Josephine, is that a couple of things. There are some individuals that still don't believe that this is something authentic or this is something true. It's too good to be true. And the other thing is that the deep mistrust in the current administration. All right. Some are saying that, okay, yeah, we really love the program, but there are other nationalities. They begin to ask themselves, all right, why only Liberians, in 2014 up to this time? Secondly, why is it that among the first applicants that have taken advantage of this subject, not a single person, when they ask this person, no, I've not gotten it yet. How many months did you apply? Okay, yeah, I've applied almost 4 or 5 months. Okay, we all know that this is a COVID-19. There are a lot of things that are actually got pushed back as a consequence of the of COVID-19. All right, so we need to actually educate our people on some of those. So there are people that are holding back, and the other thing was that there may be other people that might have regularized their statuses using, through legal marriages and stuff like that. And there may be other people that actually, when the current administration took over, some of them are crossed to Canada. All right. But we still have many of our compatriots that need their statuses regularized. So it is very, very important. What we are hearing tonight, I mean, this is incredible. Okay, like Janelle was saying, 2014, I did not, to be honest with you, I did not even know that for those people that it's going to be retroactive, meaning that when you get your green card, then you can immediately apply for your citizenship. This is, I don't think this is something that we need to immediately jump on and start using our megaphone and using whatever media. Say, listen, you can get your citizenship in a matter of months. Okay, what are you doing? So this is very, very important, and we need to. And the other thing that I just heard 2 days ago, which actually I'm trying to make sense out of it. I just heard 2 days ago from a national call, our national call. We all American national call. There was a guy from South Dakota that reported that there are some Liberians who are saying that if they even if you get your green card, so there are individuals that are looking at the Liberian community that if they do not vote for the current president and he happens to be re-elected, the green card will be revoked. And so like spreading misinformation, and that actually creating some sort of panic in some quarters. So we have to at least begin to educate and listen. You do not have to be afraid. This is a law. Okay, this is a law. The president doesn't have any something about this. No. So this is why it's very important. I really love this this program, and we need to continue to educate our people, to encourage them, and to also I found a solution to some of the barriers that have been discussed here tonight. How can we get rid of some of those barriers that they're facing?
Joe, this is incredible. I mean, you are giving us great insight into the community and the concerns and some of these false information that are fear-based that really deters people. Emmett, I would like to have you answer the same question in terms of, the outreach. What are you doing in the DMV in terms of raising awareness, making sure that the Liberian diaspora that are eligible take advantage of this? And I really would like Pam and Jonelle to go back to what Joe is saying and to respond to some of these fears. You know, there's a lot of fears, there's a lot of misinformation. I would like you to address that tonight so that we have our audience more informed, better informed, and comfortable that this is a credible and a very important and rare opportunity. Emmett, please go ahead.
Thanks, Josephine, for the opportunity to speak to this issue. As Joe was saying, you know, we had a lobbying day where we went on Capitol Hill along with other Liberians from Minnesota and Rhode Island to advocate for Liberians and to ensure that this law was put in place. And one of the things that we've done, I know in working with the community at the time, was that, you know, we had we sent out emails, we went through Facebook and other things like that to communicate with our people. We use word of mouth to talk to people. Even to this day, one of the things I try to do is when I come across Liberians, you know, I ask questions and give them information on this program so that whoever they may know, because during the time when we were doing the advocating on Capitol Hill to try to get, you know, something done for Liberians, because it was the time that President Trump, you know, said that he gave Liberians 1 year on a DED program to pretty much get the things to get things in order to either vacate the country. And we went on Capitol Hill and advocated to see if we can get the legislature to try to do something to extend this. And thanks to Jack Reed, Senator Jack Reed, and Senator Klobuchar from Minnesota, who really spearheaded, you know, working with this, and Majority Leader Stanley Hoyer and other members of, you know, the Maryland delegates and Rhode Island delegates and Minnesota. They pretty much spearheaded working on making sure that something was put in place that would help Liberians to be able to extend their stay here. Because for us, part of the problem was that I've been in the country for only about 20-something years, and I can only imagine having been here, raising my kids here, you know, owning properties and going to school and all of that, being told that you need to get up, pack your things, and go back to a country that's not really prepared to, you know, receive you and all of that. So one of the problems during that time that we had was pretty much getting folks to come out and join in. When we work with CASA in Maryland and here in Montgomery County, we work with them to kind of do a joint collaboration. And one of the things that we had trouble with is getting Liberians, because like Joe said, some folks are afraid. They're afraid to come out, you know, or the fear and stuff like that to kind of show themselves, to put themselves out there, made it a little difficult for people to be able to come and participate even then. Moreover, if you have a situation here where this program is now here and you have the further situation where people are applying, but no one is coming out and validating that, hey, I've received my paperwork and so forth to say that this is real, that feeds into the concern that some individuals might have. So that is why having a program like this, you know, having the community organizations across the United States, making sure that they're reaching out to people, but moreover, having individuals who may know people, talking to these people, being able to point out different resources where these folks can go and, you know, speak to lawyers and other community advocates in confidence without, you know, any concern of any retribution or anything like that, will help in making sure that we can increase the number. And I mean, part of the thing too is that, I mean, I hope the work that's being done to try to see and get an extension on this is successful. But as you know, the lawyers have said, we shouldn't depend on that. We have to continue to work with what we have in order to be able to get things moving. So getting, you know, whether it's through email lists, whether it's through Facebook, as we speak right now, one of the things I'm doing, I have my phone on the other end where I'm live streaming this meeting right here, so that folks on there can join and hear what's going on, and to be able to share the word, spread the word with others that they may have, they may know, rather, I should say. So that's what's been going on in the community here. We are continuing to work with our fellow Liberians who may need a service. As for me, the ones that I know of, I've told them, and matter of fact, my own brother, he's going to be getting in, and like the attorney said, Lord Joe, if your family members can help with the financial things, we're trying to pull different strings to get people in position to put the applications in. So it will take the community, it will take our family members to work with those who need the help. Because yes, if you have a person here who have been here since 2014, but do not even have a work permit based on how they came into the country, they are most likely working on the table and don't have enough money and all of that. But if folks in the community can get along with them, can support and surround themselves with them, that would be helpful in making sure that we can increase the number of people applying for the program.
Thank you so much, Emmett. So we're talking about this pathway to citizenship opportunity. Pam, help us understand why the process, why are we not having, why is USCIS not approving folks? Because I think one of the, and you may not have that answer, I know it's, but help us understand, because if, as Emmett and Joe are saying, if somebody says, hey, look, I applied for this program and I was successful and here I am now, proof, that usually would really help reaffirm the process, give it more credibility. Why the delay, and why are we still waiting to hear of people who have not yet been processed?
Well, you're right. I don't know the answer for certain, but I know some things, some of what we're hearing, and I'll pass that on and my thoughts about it. So many people are aware that USCIS has been saying that they were running out of money because USCIS is funded by the fees that they collect from people's applications. And they have been receiving fewer fees because people have been applying for immigration benefits less over the past few years. One could argue because the administration has had a chilling effect on people's willingness or ability to apply. So if they've been bringing in less money, they've furloughed people. They've asked the legislature to give them more money and then withdrew that request saying, oh, we think we can limp along into the beginning of the next fiscal year. So, and part of that was because they were challenged in hearings on Capitol Hill. So part of it is USCIS always runs slowly. All of these things always take a long time. And when we hear about the 1 year window, that 1 year window is the window to get your application filed. As long as they receive it by December 20th, if USCIS doesn't make a decision for 2 years, your application is pending and you get to stay here, right? So part of the delay is simply that that's the way USCIS runs. Part of the delay is that their situation is exacerbated by the fact that they're short on funds and therefore short-staffed. So a lot of things are running slower. And COVID reduced their staff further, slowed things down even further. And to their credit, they did prioritize people whose naturalization ceremonies who had been approved for citizenship, but had not yet been naturalized. They bumped them to the top of the list when they started reopening so people could get naturalized and register to vote prior to the election. So that they did not prioritize other groups, including LRIF applicants. So that's a piece of it, just that things went slowly and they got exacerbated by financial and COVID-19 issues. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'll say is, and this is following on both on Joe and Emmett's, Joe's comments, Emmett's, and I think back to Io and Jolene as well, is the consult with a lawyer is really important. And part of the reason it's important is that the lawyer, hearing from a potential applicant their entire story, tell the lawyer or accredited representative your entire history. I think that in my experience, some people are worried because frankly, they've been here for a long time. And the longer people are here, the more likely they are to have something in their background that makes them apprehensive about whether or not they should disclose this information or whether it's going to be a bar. And as Emmett just said, this is a confidential discussion with your attorney. The attorney cannot repeat anything, and it can't be overemphasized that it's critical for an applicant to tell the truth to their lawyer, tell them everything, and then the lawyer can help that person understand what the risks are, what the real risks are, which ones are just hype in the media, and how they apply to their particular situation, and help them make the best decision about whether to apply or not to apply. And unless there's a really significant bar, most of the time the lawyers are going to encourage them to take advantage of this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Pam. Jonelle, as you know, right here, we face challenges where even with the pandemic and the rise in needs, things like public charge and all, has created fear in people who need services and they don't come for services, even though we tell them it's okay. Nothing will get, your process will not affect your status and all. How can we continue to build trust and have an opportunity like this not pass our community where their status is compromised? Please, what can you say to that, and how can you convince our community, again, another call to action, to take advantage of this, and that these fears, a lot of them, despite what we hear and what we see, are really not real and maybe exaggerated?
Okay, thank you, Josephine. I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it as clearly as I can, and I hope that the people who are listening to this program hear me loud and clear, okay? This is a legitimate program. This is not just something that has recently come up with the Trump administration. It's true that it was signed into law December last year, but quite honestly, this is not something that originated with the Trump administration. So this talk about, oh, it's only going to happen if he's president or whatever, nonsense. Put that out of your mind, because advocates like Emmett have been working on this issue for years. Okay, this is something that has been continually introduced in Congress, quite honestly, for the last 19 years, and it's finally passing. Finally passed. Sorry, it is law now. A lot of what has happened with immigration over the last 4 years with the Trump administration has been the executive with presidential proclamations and executive orders and policy changes. This is not something that came out of the White House. This is something that is an actual act of Congress. It is a law, okay? So if that can help people to have some confidence in the legitimacy of the program, that it is actually something that was passed by the House, the Senate, both chambers of Congress, and finally signed into law. So that's thing number one. The other thing is this idea that, oh, I'm not going to believe it's real unless my brother or sister or my friend gets their green card. Please put that out of your mind too, because as Pam explained to us, immigration processing is slow. There's only a 1-year window in which to file. So to say that I'm going to wait and see if my friend, my brother gets their green card before I decide to file is foolhardy. This is the opportunity you have. Please take advantage of the opportunity, okay? The administration has made clear that they are not extending DED. For many people, they've been holding on to TPS and then DED for year after year. It's not going to be extended. The other beauty of this particular LRIF program is that it's for people who have been here since 2014, November 20th of 2014. So there's a whole gap of people who they didn't even qualify for DED, okay, because they weren't here before, but they can qualify for this program. Quite honestly, there has been nothing like this in immigration law in the last 20 years. So I think that Liberians should rather feel blessed, not feel like, oh no, other groups aren't getting this, why us? This is not a persecution. This is actually a blessing for people from Liberia. There are many people from other countries. There are people from other countries that have TPS that is ending, that they wish they had the opportunity that Liberians have right now. So I don't know how more clearly I can state it. Do not miss this opportunity. Take advantage of it. I gave my our web address before. I'll say it again: www.lojolaw.com. You can contact us. We can talk about your eligibility. Also, we will forward on to Afrique Today so that they can let you know about the upcoming free pro bono legal clinic. Please don't let the opportunity pass you by.
Thank you. I can't imagine it getting a better call to action than that. But I'd like to tell our audience, well, we have 2 minutes to take your questions. So if you have any questions, please post them for us. Joe, I want to go back and ask you, why Liberia, if that is the question that's been asked, and explain to our audience the importance of advocacy. This did not, as Jonelle is saying, and as Pam and Emmett is saying, this did not just come out. A lot of work has gone into it. Advocacy, going to Congress, sending letters and all. Tell us why Liberia, and tell us the work that has gone into it to make it possible, and why it would be such a pity after all that work and this window of opportunity for people to miss out.
Okay. Well, thank you very much again, Josephine. I think, Jonelle, put it she was very, very clear than what I will even attempt to say. First of all, Liberians should consider themselves, a blessed people for the fact that they were kind of chosen among countless countries who have been advocating as we have been doing. But every now and then they just depend on time to time extension of the statuses. So we should consider ourselves blessed and take advantage of this golden opportunity. And what I've also been telling community members who need to take advantage of this program is that we're not even sure. Someone called me yesterday, well, do you think we can start advocating to extend it? I said, what am I going to tell them? That, okay, I'm sorry, then I want you to extend it because that 1 year was not enough for people who didn't get it, the information to them. I don't even know what to go and tell, our friends at Congress. What am I going to tell them? That, okay, we could not afford the fee. This is why many people could not, I mean, I really, there's nothing that some of us will actually go to Congress and say, well, yes, that 1 year needs to be extended. Okay? So, I mean, we pass through churches, mosques, and every public gathering possible to disseminate this information. All right. So again, like my brother Emmett, alluded to, there have been a lot of work. A lot of work was put into this one, from a ULA perspective, from all the national advocacy organization, even from our own congressional men and women, from our districts. They all work hard. From our colleague, Wilma Collins, some of our colleagues that are now occupying elected positions, they all work hard to get this piece of legislation. So, I mean, it is really disheartening to see that people are not taking advantage of it, but we cannot just sit down, reluctantly to say, well, hey, since they are not working, then we should just sit there. Our job as community leaders is to continue to educate the people. Because now what Janelle, and all the lawyers are telling me for some reason, I did not even look at that. That is even better. That is even far better. So that should be, something that we should be able to at least get people to sign up as of tonight. So listen, you don't even have to wait for 3 or 4 or 5 years. You get approved, then immediately you can start, applying for your citizenship. That is even much better. So I mean, I know this is another call to action. Now we, probably if hires and other, pro bono services can probably be open to a legal clinic that will assist people that do not really have the money and probably do not have the, the means. Probably the people that they're living with, either friends, they don't really have the means. Another thing that EULA is also discussing with the Embassy of Liberia, because in terms of our documentation, all right, how can we expedite, because the USIS will send my sister from my older sister actually took advantage of it. All right, we applied, she just had an interview, a month ago. Okay, so she had an interview a month ago, so we're waiting. So just last week, after the interview, we got another letter again and said, okay, we need a birth certificate. Okay, the USIS has sent another letter saying that we need a birth certificate. Okay, we send them a copy of that birth certificate because we're still waiting for the, for the original. So we just send them a copy. While that is there, then we just, when the original comes, I don't know whether they will need the original, but I just told the lawyer, I said, well, let's go ahead with the copies. So, I mean, we need to work with the Liberian embassy to see, okay, in the absence of original stuff, or for those that cannot afford to send for their original birth certificate, what documentation can the embassy or the consulate can provide to some of these Liberians in order to expedite the processing of their application?
Thank you so much, Joe. Pam, you have 30 seconds and we'll wrap up, and I'll go around to all our other panelists as well.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on one of the points that Joe just made. The Ombudsman's Office hosted a webinar with an update on this program just at the very end of September. And they specifically said, the USCIS representative specifically stated that they are aware that getting current passports and other documents from the embassy has been very difficult because the embassies were closed, etc., and that people should file with whatever they have available and an explanation of what efforts they're making to get an updated passport or to get a birth certificate, and that should be sufficient. They'll probably get a request for that information, or they'll have to bring it to an interview, but that they should not be discouraged or put off from applying for that reason.
That is so important. Thank you. Emmett? Do you want to add anything? Do you have any final words to say before we close out?
Yes, sure. Thank you. So you asked a question earlier in terms of why Liberians. I mean, one has to look at the history of Liberia and the United States. Go way back to World War II and the relationship that Liberia has. I remember growing up in Liberia, folks on the continent of Africa referred to Liberia as small America. And folks from the United States that worked in Liberia, the Liberian embassy, the U.S. embassy there, ended up staying in Liberia and making Liberia their home. So there's a long relationship between Liberia and the United States that has put us in this position to where we've been blessed, as Joe said, to have this opportunity and to have such advocacy going our way. A lot of people in the United States really don't know of that relationship. So we have to, one, educate folks of that, and two, it also lies on the shoulders of folks in the Liberian community to come together in terms of supporting one another, in terms of making sure that those who do not have or are lacking, we can help them out. Whatever the arrangement may be that we'll have to come up with, we'll need to do that. And you know, this thing is running out. There was a lot of work put in. I remember being on Capitol Hill. I remember going to the late Congressman Elijah Cummings' office in Baltimore with folks from CISA. I remember, you know, speaking with a representative, what's his name, from Prince George's County, Anthony Brown, the former Lieutenant Governor of Maryland. So we did work. We put work in. We met with senators. We met with other folks. And thanks to them, they were able to listen to us. They were able to push this thing through. So we as Liberians, we need to take advantage of it. And as the attorney said, you just have to get your papers in. Just put your papers in. You may not get a result right now or get a response or answer, but if you miss the deadline, then you're working all the way from beyond the curve. You know, put your paperwork in. Just get it in. If you need help, talk to your cousins, your relatives, your people in the community. You know, that's where the Liberian community needs to come into play to make sure, and to see how we can form a way to help our fellow Liberians financially, whether it's through a loan program or something, to be able to allow folks to take full advantage of this. So that is something that I will be working with folks, whoever is looking to do it, and I will look at different ways. I mentioned my brother. You know, if I can help somebody on my own, from my own personal pocket to assist them, I would do that. If it's a loan or whatever, to give me back just so that you can get your paperwork in. That's what I will have to do. So, you know, but I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this issue. And I'm praying that a lot of Liberians are listening to it and that we can increase the number of people that are applying. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmett. Jonelle, please give us your last words, but also remind our community of the upcoming program and pro bono clinic that you have coming up.
Okay. Thank you, Josephine. My last word that I would want to mention is, I know we've said this thing about December 20th of this year is the deadline. But people consider December 20th falls on Sunday, okay? The application has to be received at immigration by December 20th. Let's be clear, immigration is closed on Sunday, okay? So there's no way they're gonna receive it on Sunday. Immigration is closed on Saturday. So really, that means that your application has to be received there by Friday, December 18th. Okay, so yes, the law says the 20th, but really your application needs to arrive at immigration by the 18th. So please do not wait until the last minute. If you do wait until the 17th, make sure you express mail, FedEx, UPS, whatever it takes. I mean, Pam has said it before, it's holiday season. People are sending Christmas cards and holiday cards. We've also, you know, issues with the post office. So I just be clear, don't wait until the last minute, okay? And then also a reminder about the free legal clinic coming up. It's next Saturday, November, is that November 8th is the Saturday? November 8th coming up, and we will be passing along flyers so that you can register for the legal clinic, okay? Thanks again, Josephine.
Thank you so much, Jonelle. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Emmett, for making this possible and bringing this important information to our community. The LRIF program is real. I'd like to thank Alan at Afrique Today for making this possible. AfriqueToday.com is an online platform that is actually a business that donates its time to our community to make sure that important and relevant community issues are brought up. So I would like to pitch in. Alan doesn't know I'm doing this today, but I'd like to pitch into our community. If you have any advertisements, if you have any shows, any programs, please support a small business like AfriqueToday.com and help them so that they can continue to help us Alain doesn't get paid to do this for us, and it's incredible that he continues to raise important issues and create this platform for us to use. So if you have any advertisements, any programs, please go through afriquetoday.com. And you can watch this program again on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on afriquetoday.com. Please contact Jonelle, contact Pamela. Their information will be online. Contact Joe and Emmett and apply for this program. You're only going to have this window of opportunity. December is just a few weeks away. So we're appealing to our Liberian brothers and sisters and community to take advantage of this program. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great evening and have a great rest of your weekend. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great program.
We're going to log off and we
Jamais nous disons stop à la vente de nos terres. Jamais ne cédons pas au chantage et belles paroles. L'héritage que nos ancêtres nous ont légué, c'est pas l'argent, les voitures et maisons. Pour assurer la survie de nos familles, c'est la forêt et la terre. Missy est bon, elle est baillon, c'est ma eie. Missy bonne ni te reni, elle est baillon, c'est ma eie. Et ma coupasia n'a ton mambo manioko. Be café na biko konone, umo somo sanga olia. Toyanaka, obonongo, yosumise imundanga, abonisa, sakonane. Non à la vente des terres, Mokatu moti, usunu ni fola, abanisa. Tuyana kobonanga tubunanga salaba. Tuba munu moti, batokaka obusi. Élevons nos voix, chantons sur tous les toits. Demain soit plus clair. Si t'entends ma voix, la voix des sans-voix, ce qu'on a de plus cher, ce sont nos terres.
et tout le peuple une partie du temps. Mais on ne peut tromper tout le peuple tout le temps. Oui au développement, non à l'exode rural.
Diaspora Banen, chef traditionnel élite, fils et filles, que chacun apporte sa pierre à l'édifice. Non
à la vente des terres, Banen. Non à la vente des terres, Banen. Non à la vente
Peuple Banen,
des terres, Banen.
tous nous sommes interpellés.
Non à la vente
Soyons unis.
des terres, Banen. Non à la vente.
On ne peut qui me partenaire. Mon katou motin faut signer pour l'autre. Mon ami foyer moi.
Nous remercions le collectif des artistes Banen et son président, Monsieur Ekombile Vincent Olivier, pour sa lutte acharnée pour le réveil de la culture Banen.